This is Bass Talk Live. Your host, Mark Jeffries and Matt Pangrack. BTL is brought to you by Lowrance, Lose, Strike King Lures, Bass Cat Boats, Ducket Fishing, Spro, AFCO, Big Bite Baits, Sunline, and TH Marine. BTL coming at you. Good Friday, everybody. Welcome once again to another edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where we're going to talk bass fishing and anything else that we want to talk about. Yes, a Friday show, a rare Friday show, Matthew.
The heck is that logo on your horizontally striped polo?
That would be an AFCO logo, my friend. See, I'm styling and profiling today.
It took you
It took
2
a while.
years.
Yeah.
Multiple calls. Hey, look,
Yeah.
order. And you did, and it looks fantastic.
I got a
Mark.
polo.
You're-
I actually have
you
two
are-
polos.
Oh, that's incredible.
I
And
have a
they're
white one,
horizontally
too.
striped with the
Yeah.
solid collar, so you feel right at home.
Yes, sir.
Wow. I'm impressed. The day's off to an amazing start.
It is. Friday, we have a great show today. We're going to have Tommy Sanders on live from the Bassmaster studio in Little Rock, Arkansas. Looking forward to having Tommy on. But I want to let everybody know, yesterday we had a very interesting show with Jacob Prosnick, and I received a ton of feedback from that show, Matthew, and really good comments from the fans in both sides of the discussion that we had on yesterday's show.
As far as penalties for six fish, as far as release fish, calling deceased fish, all sorts of stuff that we covered yesterday.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see if they go back and look at that.
Very good discussion, though.
Yes.
It was something that we hadn't really we kind of talked about it over the years, but never really dove into it as much as Jacob did yesterday. And I just want to say thanks to all the fans that sent emails and kind of shared their viewpoint about the interview yesterday. And we definitely want to get Jacob back on. All right, the other thing, obviously, we're kind of in a holding pattern, seeing what's going to happen with the Bassmaster Elite Series. I did speak to some, let's just call them high-level management people at Bass.
Okay.
And they are doing everything they can to make this New York thing happen. All right? And I don't know if people out there were saying, oh, well, they're just going to move it to Alabama, or, oh, they're just going to move it to, Arkansas or wherever. No, they're doing everything they can in their power with their resources to try and make this New York thing happen. But this is way bigger than bass fishing.
I was talking to Dave Rush yesterday on the phone. You know what his solution was?
What's that?
Just move the entire rest, because they've only had 2, so they got like 6, 7 left. Move them all to Alabama. Have what on Wheeler, on Pickwick, on Gunnersville, on Wilson.
They could
on
do
the
that.
Alabama River.
They could do that.
just
see,
have them all right there.
Here's the thing that you may not. It's kind of like something that gets thrown into the mix, but you don't realize how much of a big factor it is all of the live coverage.
Oh yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Right.
So
They
I
have
don't
to
think
make
anyone
sure.
knows what's going on.
Yeah,
so we'll
they
just
have
to
to
wait and see.
They have to make sure that the connectivity is there, that the cell service is there. And then the other thing is, too, and I haven't heard anything about this. Nobody said a word to me. But could there be a possibility that if the NBA doesn't get going, if baseball doesn't start until July,
More ESPN2 coverage?
more ESPN2 coverage?
I would
That could
absolutely think there's a great article about it on Bassmaster.com.
Yeah. So a lot of factors going into it. And then obviously we have the final day today. And as we do this show live, they're in a fog delay on the Chick. But Jacob Wheeler getting it done.
Yeah, the FLW, Tackle Warehouse FLW Pro Circuit Super Tournament. And indeed, we were wondering what had happened yesterday. Mm-hmm. He caught a 10-pounder. As Wheeler called it a gosh dang 10-pounder. And then he said he culled on his Rapala scales, which if you watch, he weighs every single fish, and then you've got a system to where it'll drop it. But then he didn't cull his real fish. So he had 6 in the live well, made a cast. So indeed it is 3. So he ended up with like almost 25.5 pounds. He would have had 27.5 pounds with that. But you got to be excited, man. You got Jacob Wheeler and you got Jason Reyes, who's doing a little bit kind of different stuff with a Cinco there, fishing slow. Cole Floyd, college angler. Cody Meyer, one of the 3 BPT pros who made up 27% of the overall field and ended up making 30% of the top 10. Looks like one might probably win it, but statistically significant, about par. 27% of the field, 30% of the top 10. Yeah. They were 38% of the top 50. So if you do the math, there were disproportionately more BPT anglers in the top 104 that took a $10,000 check. So as a whole, across the board, less FLW Tour anglers cash a $10,000 check because of the BPT guys, but it wasn't like 56 BPT guys in the top 75.
So even with the drop down to 100th place?
Yeah, it shook out. Yeah, it shook out about even. It shook out about even.
Because if you drop it down to 100,
they would have paid 75 before that, so it shook out about even. But 5th place there, you want to tell me who's in 5th place there with 55.6? He dropped 20 pounds on the scales yesterday, Mark.
HFA, baby.
Your boy, Miles Berghoff.
He's not my boy.
Now, I took it upon myself here.
Yeah?
Now, there's a video that I gave you that you have not seen, correct?
I just saw the very, 1 or 2 seconds.
Yeah, just enough. I think now would be, and if you listen to BTL regularly, you'll know that the president of the Miles Berghoff fan club is none other than Mark Jeffries. Heck, in 2019, he was our most frequent guest on BTL. Yes, he was. Statistically, he was on BTL more than any other guest.
Did he catch him?
Yes, and he's catching him here. But why don't we just go ahead and play that?
Cue this up.
That clip that I got yesterday. I believe it. And you have not seen this, Mark.
No,
you have not seen this yet. I believe this is this might be a direct message. Oh, look at that. Wow. Look, who is that right there? That's none other than the man, Miles Berghoff.
Here we go.
All right, Jeffrey. So I'm at home right now, relaxing after the top 10 meeting up in Dayton, and just relaxing with the dog. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
He is in total leisure mode right now. And I'm pretty wore out. All that adrenaline from the 20-pound bag today is completely wore off, and I've hit my wall. But I am really excited, and I wanted to tell you that my motivation this week was, how do I make Mark Jeffries, my #1 fan, proud of me? And I think a top 10 is a pretty good way to do that. So anyways, I did it all for you, buddy. Let's do it on Championship Friday and see if we can get second. I don't know if we can get first, but we're gonna try our hardest to get as high as we can in the standings. So let's do it tomorrow, Championship Friday.
All right, that's very cool.
There you go, Mark.
That's very cool.
He's doing it all for you.
I don't know about that, but
all 55 pounds.
Was that your idea?
I don't know. It just sometimes things happen. I feel like right now in this kind of realm, you're one up with the whole Christie thing still from earlier in the year. But I'm chipping away. I'll chip away.
I like it. I like it.
You'll never know what comes up. Couple other housekeeping things. The Big Bite has been alerted of the 10 winners from a couple days ago. We did the take a screenshot, share, subscribe, comment, that type of stuff. Should I just read the 10 names that won, or just wait? I didn't. We got Mike Bartlett, Jake Mills, Elbert Farley, Josh Hardy, Austin Tinsman, Andrew Rambatello, Cameron Milholland, David Graffrath, Jeff Lucas, and Christopher Dustin. So 3 packs of Big Bite Baits BFE that do come out July 1st at major retailers, but they are headed your way before that. So we'll have more giveaways once they come in. I mean, I would hope we could be maybe flush with BFEs to do some giveaways on the show. And then also, just to clear up the housekeeping, I also got a couple emails that were like, dude, I can't find that lure protector that you
Yes.
showed at the end of the other show. Well,
Yes.
I misspelled the dag name. I told everyone it was LUREKAZE, and it's just LURKAZE.com. Lurkaze.
Did you order some more?
I have not ordered some more yet, but it's like an $8 shipping, I think, flat. But I know some guys did find it, and some guys were looking for it. But it was that.
Okay,
deal.
one more time. What is it? You've
It's the
messed this
deal-
all up.
It's Lurkaze, LURKAZE.com. No E in there.
No.
LURKAZE. But it's that deal that you put your
Yeah, it's very cool.
Zara spook or your trap or whatever in, and then it doesn't get stuck in your rod sleeve, or if
Yeah.
you're a co-angler, it doesn't get stuck in the boat seat or anything, and it's like super handy to take on and off. A lot easier than the rod wrap. So that's all of the housekeeping that I had.
Very cool. Very cool. Next week, we are going Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I'll let everybody know on Sunday evening. As I always do, you can check out basshome.com, and the schedule will be posted. Working on a very, very cool guest. Don't know if it's going to happen, but most of the time I've been able to come through. This one's a little tight from the
Industry?
schedule.
In the industry? In the fishing industry?
Kinda.
Kinda?
Dabbles.
Sports world?
Sports world.
Professional athlete?
Yes.
Bowler?
Not a bowler.
Like major sport professional athlete?
Yeah.
Like one of the big four?
Yeah, with the help of my good friend at the Sports Animal, Mark Rogers.
Former OU player?
No.
Football player?
No.
Oh, you've got me intrigued now.
Loves to bass fish, though.
Okay.
So, and there is a slight chance that he might be in studio while you're not here.
Wow.
That's kind of what I'm working on.
Okay.
So we'll see. We'll see if I can pull it off. All right, we're going to take a break, come back with our very, very special guest, Tommy Sanders. Everybody stay tuned on a Friday.
The ultimate fishing system starts with Lowrance HDS Live. The best fish finding tools, from chirp sonar and fish reveal to side scan and down scan imaging, and complete touchscreen control from your trolling motor to your big motor.
Yeah, you care about gear ratios, inches per turn, and ball bearings, but most importantly, you want reliability and dependability in the equipment you use. Lew's doesn't cut corners when it comes to the gear they build. The new Speed Spool LFS is the best $99 reel in the market. Go see for yourself.
We've paired one of the most iconic hulls in the history of bass boats with a proven lineup of trusted accessories. We're bringing you best-in-class value and performance, leaving others in your wake. Turnkey value, turnkey performance. The Pantera 2 is an overachiever in the 19-foot category. Once you hit the throttle, you'll feel the rush, and there's no looking back.
Kevin, what are you doing here?
Oh, I'm just filling in for Billy.
I need 660 shad crankbaits in the Series 5 model.
We're out.
You're not out. You got all kinds of them right there.
We're out.
Kevin, I need 6.
Have a lollipop.
I do not want a lollipop.
Have a lollipop.
Do you have it in sexy shad color?
At Duckett Fishing, we have assembled the top pros in the country to help us design rods to give you a competitive advantage. Castability,
Strength,
durability, action, sensitivity, weight and balance, and consistency. Combine that with the best warranty in the industry, and you have rods that are pro-driven.
Duck It Fishing, pro-driven.
Hey everybody, Tide Faircloth here. Want to show you one of my favorite braided lines, SX1 30-pound Sunline braid. I use this braided line for a couple of different applications, and one of my favorites to use for this line is a swim jig. Casts great, and it's small diameter, and just works really great on a swim jig. Another technique I like to use for 30-pound SX1 Sunline braid is whenever I'm flipping like a light, say an 1/8 to a 1/4 ounce weight in grass, small diameter, I don't lose much action on my worm, just works great in those scenarios. So if you're looking for a braided line for a swim jig or fishing a light Texas rig, check out Sunline's SX1 30-pound braid.
All right, we are back, wrapping up the week here on a Friday. And I think it's really cool that we're going to have our next guest on, man. Been looking forward to this. A guy that I've really admired for a long time. I remember the first tournament that I showed up to many years ago at Lake Amistad on the Elite Series. And Tommy and Mark and Mike McGinnis and Jerry all came up to me and welcomed me and thought what I was doing out there by myself was really cool. Tommy's always been very, very nice and just would do anything he could to help me out there when I was out there on my own. So I have a lot of admiration for what Tommy has done, not just in the bass fishing world, but I mean, Tommy could do Monday Night Football or baseball or any other sporting event if he wanted to.
Oh, absolutely. And just the voice is, you've got the you are looking live and all that, and you have like all those guys that then you associate those games and events. Well, man, for an entire generation, professional bass fishing is associated with that voice of Tommy Sanders bringing everybody back in on the Bassmaster show, and then obviously a lot more recently live. But I mean, when they have it, he's had a couple days of residence too. It's kind of jarring.
It is
not to hear that voice, that familiar voice.
I know. So I want to let everybody know we're going to bring Tommy in. If you have questions for Tommy on the instant feedback, we will take a break and then we will come back and get to all the questions that we can for Tommy here on BTL on a Friday. So let's bring him in here. Tommy, how are you, man?
Hey guys, how are you? Thank you so much for the compliments, Mark. I remember that tournament at Amistad like it was yesterday. I remember you were sitting there, you were getting going, you were some stupid blanket rule, you were outside the ropes, and we said we got to get this guy. We don't want outside the ropes. We want him in there. And you've been overachieving ever since, so as far in my view. So
have you guys had meetings
Matt as well?
Have you guys had meetings at tournaments early in the year on how to handle Jeffries and keep him in control? I mean, Jeffries makes it sound like it's all nice, but I mean,
not formal meetings per se. I'll just put it that way. Maybe we discuss it, but no. Mark Jeffries is an asset to the sport of bass fishing in every way. You are too, Matt.
All right, very nice, Tommy. I appreciate you taking time out, and I want to go back to the beginnings of Tommy Sanders. How did you get into the bass fishing game and really the media game?
Well, I was, I worked in television for my first job out of school. Sweeping floors and running camera and stuff like that. I did work in the advertising world. Also, I started doing a lot of voiceovers and just corporate videos, as an independent, and me and a partner opened a studio down the street here, a recording studio, which just happened to be around the corner from JM Associates. And of course, everybody's aware of Jerry. He'd been doing the Fishing Hole, and the Fishing Hole was on ESPN now and everything, and had been for years and established. And one day I got a call from him, said, "Kid, do you know anybody who could do a voiceover? We need to do a product piece here." And I said, "I think I know the guy." And I went over and struck up a conversation with Jerry. So they were putting together the ESPN Outdoors at that time. All the outdoor shows were kind of scattered. They wanted to do a vertical block, which means you build the audience from one show to the next. And they needed a host for that. And he got me an audition anyway. And somehow I wormed my way into the job. And so we did that for, 15 years. We did ESPN Outdoors 52 weeks a year. And also another version on ESPN2, something that at some point was every day. So it was a lot of work. And the FLW tour came around. They hired Jerry to do the TV and take it to ESPN. And 1996 is actually when I got my start doing bass tournament.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Do you remember what that audition was like?
Yeah. They just wanted me to introduce a few shows and then do a little, outdoors conservation piece, and come out of one show, go into the next, and you just kind of did that. It was like an unknown. I didn't know exactly where this was going, but I've always been able to fake it. So I faked it and made it in there some way or another.
What was your experience with professional bass fishing at that point?
Zero. I mean, everybody's aware of all the Arkansas heroes, the Larry and all those guys, but I had no. I didn't. I'm not a tournament fisherman. Certainly wasn't then. I fished for bluegill as much as I fished for bass, but always fished all my life. Just kind of a duffer as far as tournaments go. But no real connection to the bass fishing world. I just knew Arkansas was prominent in the world of professional bass fishing, and everybody's aware of the Bassmasters. That's about all I had.
And you have to also realize there was no YouTube that you could go dial up to brush up and see what it was like. I mean, you had the Bassmaster magazine and the Bassmasters. Was Bassmasters on TNT back then?
I believe it was on TNT.
And you didn't have DVR, so it's not like you could go back and watch any of that. So I mean, you kind of went in cold, well, let's see if we could do this about pro fishing.
Oh yeah, and really the best resource you had here in Arkansas was Steve Bowman, who wrote for the newspaper, the Arkansas Democrat Gazette at that time, and he would write a lot about it. So actually, it was an advantage to be in Arkansas because he channeled a lot of Bassmaster information, to the readers.
All right, I have this video that I want to cue up, and I had no idea. I just ran across this on YouTube. I think it had 400 or 500 views on it. It was back from 2013.
Oh.
And let's see if I can get this thing queued up, and then I just want your thoughts on it.
I'm sure it's not embarrassing or anything.
No, it's not. It's
really
actually very flattering.
Yeah.
Oh boy, I want to see it then.
Does it kind of go back to some of the New York roots, doesn't it, Mark?
I'm a little confused on that.
Did you go to school in New York at all?
I did for one semester. I went to New York University as a postgraduate student.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well, maybe this is something.
All right. Well, let's see if I can get this queued up here and we can roll it.
This is the first time with the new technology that we've got guest and
Combining
video
his natural
on.
state roots
here we
and
go.
theatrical training, Hendricks alumnus Tommy Sanders is the successful host of ESPN Outdoors and other award-winning outdoor television programming.
I'm Tommy Sanders. I'm a 72 graduate of Hendricks College. I was a theater major there, and since that time I have worked in broadcasting. In fact, started during my tenure as a student there, working at a radio station. So next year will be 40 years in broadcasting. Well, I didn't have a plan for a major when I went to school. I really not even close to having a plan. I knew it was a good school. I wanted to go there. I wanted to get as good a general education as possible. I saw a play. The first play I ever saw was when I was a freshman at Hendricks, and it just absolutely floored me. It was so different from television, so different from movies, anything I'd ever seen before. It's a completely different experience being in the same room with these people who are telling the story. And I immediately got involved with the theater department, and from that first trimester on, I participated in every theater production during my 4 years at Hendricks. So I was all in a way of speaking. Well, the whole experience there did not allow you to go completely into something like theater. You had to be well-rounded. You had to have some discipline. You had to complete a fairly balanced sort of schedule of classes and so forth. So that was good for me. A good education in learning how to write. It's been super valuable to me throughout my career.
All right. How about that, Tommy?
People are not gonna say TGI Friday anymore if you keep running stuff like that. They're gonna say, "Oh no, it's Friday." They might run something like Tommy Sanders on some obscure. No, that was my alma mater. They were doing their magazine. They do a little video accompaniment to it, which profiles people that are graduates from back in the Stone Age and what they're doing today. So that was
drama, huh?
That was my major. Every other male in my family is a scientist of some sort. and I'm the only one who plays piano in a house of ill repute. That's
What kind of scientist?
mostly geologists, geophysicists. That's all my brothers, my father, my brother-in-law, my nephew, actually, who lives in Oklahoma City, is the only one who's not in that field. He's getting his degree in engineering from OU right now. It's his graduate degree.
Really?
So, yeah.
There you go. So is there like at Hendrix, be honest, is there like a plaque? Because you have to be like one of the high profile guys that come out. Like, do you have a
they have a
lounge
Hall of
named
Fame.
after
Yeah,
you?
I was elected into the Hall of Fame there, and so there's a little plaque somewhere. I think
Is there like the Tommy Sanders Lounge where you could go get like a fresh tuna sandwich and a
Sure, yeah. The Tommy Sanders ping pong table, I think, is in the student
I'm just
union there.
saying.
It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Wow. What was your favorite role that you did in college?
My favorite role, I think, was this sort of misdirected doctor in a Chekhov play called Uncle Vanya, which really sounds sort of Russian and high-minded, but it's actually a comedy, and that was my favorite role. So I'm sure no one remembers it but me, but I do.
So do you still like watch plays and all that stuff?
Oh yeah, sure I do. Yeah, absolutely. I much prefer them to movies for some reason. I guess I'm just a weirdo.
So you'll do a day of Bassmaster Live covering professional bass fishing, and then go home and watch it. That is a well-rounded man right there.
That's somebody who can't land in any particular place at any time, I think is what that is.
Okay, is there anybody that you have come across in the industry? I mean, I don't particularly think Mark Zona or Ronnie are big into the live plays. Is there anybody else in the industry who shares your passion for that in fishing that you kind of relate to?
Let me think here. No. No, not at all. Which is fine. Everybody's different. That's the way you look at it. But, you got to have a few oddballs, and I'm happy to be one of them.
All right. I want to talk a little bit about the timber sports, because that intrigues me. Obviously, we're going to get into the bass fishing, but how did that all come about? And did you really have an integral part in that whole series from a media standpoint?
Well, yeah, the Steel was always a sponsor going way back on Jerry's show on the Fishing Hole.
Yeah.
Way back before there was even a Steel Timber Sports series. And then they put that, Jerry did a couple of specials, a couple of great American events with the lumberjack competition, the national championship in Wisconsin. And then Steel and Jerry sort of got together and brainstormed a series of tournaments that would be covered on ESPN. And then there'd be a national championship. And that started probably 2 years before I went to work for Jerry, which was in 1990. So, yeah, I've been pretty close to the start of it, if not the start of it.
Yeah, I never thought I'd see things with a chainsaw done the way that those guys could do it.
Yeah, when you put a snowmobile engine on a chainsaw,
I know
it gets your attention, that's for sure. And my hearing has been damaged beyond repair, but it's worth it. Believe me.
Wow. All right, a lot of people want to know whether or not you have announced or commentaried in other sports.
Oh, yeah. Every year for the past 4 or 5 years, we've done the national championship air races from Reno. And as far as we know, the plan is on to have that big event again this year. I've done racquetball. I've done the great outdoor games. So we did the Super Retriever Series, which was many years running on ESPN, the Redfish Cup, which was sort of about 4 or 5 seasons of a pretty full tournament trail, and we were doing that at the time when ESPN had just bought Bass, and we were doing like 14 tournaments, including majors and stuff like that. So yeah, there was pretty frenzied times back in those days. We were cranking out a lot of product.
How do you learn about all this stuff? Do you sit down and study it? Is there like an assistant who's like, hey, Tommy, you're doing racquetball. Here's what racquetball. I mean, you know how you've done fishing for so long. I have, and you can talk about it, but you put me in a different setting. I mean, there's so many different nuances and unwritten rules for every sport, and then everybody who's watching it, because it's a niche sport, is like totally into what you guys are saying. And then if you say something wrong or the wrong terminology, it just blows up. So I mean, you have to really dot your I's and cross your T's to come across as knowledgeable. Yeah. So how do you do, what do you do to get ready for a professional racquetball match, Tommy?
Well, we did the racquetball national championships back in the days, as you say, before YouTube and all that. I had to just hunt around and find some tapes of people who had tried to cover racquetball before, and some successfully and some not so successfully. And you watch that, and you talk to luckily, I know a lot of people who are into racquetball, get to talk to them and just watch them go out and play local tournaments and stuff like that. And you try to cram in as much as you can, and just so when you open your mouth and the camera's on and the show starts, that you'll be able to be coherent in any way.
Was there any other sports that you feel like that you really wanted to take part in, but things just didn't happen?
Oh yeah, golf, tennis. I always love those sports as well. I really like individual sports. I've never called a football game, a baseball game, a basketball game. I would love to, try. I'm a little late in life right now to get started in that, but I would love to dip into that too. There's just so much. There's only so much you can do, and only so much you're capable of doing too, which would be the real truth of it.
What about bowling, Tommy?
Oh, gee.
Have you ever?
I just watched bowling the other night. It's I love bowling. Bowling is really great. It's the team match that was on ESPN. I guess it was a rerun, Mark. I mean, you're the bowler.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was Chicago versus somebody, I guess, and it was really great. It was fantastic. I like the team bowling better than I like the individual championships for Marina and that kind of stuff.
I feel like you could excel. I could just hear Tommy's voice in my head. Here's Mark Jeffries on the senior tour, 10th frame, 7-10 split, needs to get this for the win.
Moving on to the next subject.
Before we get to the fishing, I want to ask this to him, and we had Elo on. He told us disaster stories behind the scenes. We've had Zone on. He tells us disaster stories behind the scenes. Over the course of your career, which based on that very educational video we just watched, it spanned 40 years, Mr. Sanders.
Oh my gosh.
I want some of those chaos moments, because if there's anyone who keeps it together when Zone is going off the trade or something like that, it's you. You're like the voice of reason on it. But man, you've got to have some good ones that you haven't shared. And here on BTL, we share stories that haven't been shared before.
Yeah.
That's kind of our thing. So I need some dirt, some juice, something that has gone down, something that's like, man, I came on and everything was calm and cool, but you would not have believed the cluster that was going on.
Oh my gosh. I can think of the big, most high profile event in bass fishing for a lot of those disaster stories.
Let's hear them.
The Bassmaster Classic. What we do on Bassmaster Live is really the way the Classic should have been done, because you cover it like you would cover a ball game, but you couldn't with the technology back then. You could not do that. You couldn't run cable for 45 miles up the lake or 85 miles up the lake or anything like that. So we had to, for ESPN, we had to have a primetime program that was about the Classic, and really all you could do, the first couple of years, cover the weigh-in, do it as best you can, maybe get some tapes in from off the water and show some clips while an angler weighs in. Have some really great guys, all top class ESPN announcers, brought in special for this, and it made a pretty good show, but it really wasn't like, it was like being at the Classic weigh-in, but it was not like watching the Classic being contested out on the water. And they got a little more ambitious. They tried to make it a little more than a weigh-in. And we got to, I guess we got to the Three Rivers in Pittsburgh, and actually it took place at Wiley the year before that, 2004. And they said, okay, we're going to do a whole morning at the Classic. I said, wow, what are we going to do? we're going to have interviews, and we're going to look at features and stuff like that. And I said, are we going to see a fish get caught? We might get a tape in and actually see a fish get caught too. And I said, boy, this is going to be 2 hours of fun right here. And predictably it was chaotic, and I was obviously not as entertaining as fishing as people would have an expectation of with the Bassmaster Classic, but somehow we got through it all. Pittsburgh was the same thing, but Pittsburgh was great. We did an actual 3 hours in the morning at Pittsburgh, and we actually were on a rooftop overlooking the Monongahela, I guess it was the Monongahela, and we could actually get a long shot without audio of a tiny little person down there catching a fish, and it was like, oh, what a miracle this is, man! Oh man, we're showing you an actual live fish catch. But we actually had Ben Roethlisberger join us on the set for an hour back in the day, and he's a fisher, he's a bass fisherman as a kid, and it was fantastic. It turned out okay, and then the next year, yet another set of disasters at the I guess it was Toho, right? 2006 was Toho, and we So me and Denny were going to do that. Me and Denny Brower, and Denny's great. Denny's game and up for anything in most cases. And we would sit there and we would actually, they did a better job of getting a few tapes in, and then a big storm came up, and we thought our guys out on the water about to die. These boats were getting smashed over with waves and everything. Zona was out there, trying to find some shelter somewhere. And then it hit our set there at the convention center and just blew down all the lights and everything. And it's like, this is a disaster movie. This is not sports coverage here, but yeah, the early days of the classic, trying to make the classic into something was really rough.
All right, Tommy, you've met some really cool people in doing this for 40 plus years.
Yeah.
Who's probably your most favorite person that you've met, not in this industry, maybe outside of this industry, be it an actor, athlete, or whoever? Who would that be?
Oh my gosh, I'd have to think about that, Mark. Not necessarily a fishing person, huh?
Yeah.
Man. Oh, good.
I didn't mean to stump the guy.
I've met Jim Palmer and Wade Boggs. It was just all really great guys who love fishing, and it's just really shocking to talk with guys like that who are just so regular and normal, at least in most ways. Gosh, I'll think about that. I'll get back to you.
Okay. All right. Fishing wise, a number of people on the instant feedback, and I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here. They want to know your background in fishing. Do you like to fish? Do you like to, bass fish, crappie fish? What's the scoop?
Oh, I do like to fish for all species. I said I'm not a tournament fisherman. I'm a dub. I'm a duffer in that respect. But I've always, my dad was a big time fisherman. He would, think of any excuse to get out of the work and go fishing. And we had just as much fun catching brim and crappie, but we get on some bass. That would be a fun time as well. And to this day, I still enjoyed fishing trips, and once in a while we get a good special trip. I have one in Canada the last few years to catch smallmouth. They're just ridiculously stupid, and it's just unbelievable. And of course we couldn't do it this year because of the virus and everything. So I'm still missing that. I'm still missing out on that. I can catch them. I just can't find them. I'm the version of it. I'm the definition of a duffer. I'll put it that way. But I love to fish, redfish, salmon, trout, all of it. I just enjoy so much.
In all of your time analyzing, commentating on professional bass fishing, what is one moment that really, really impressed you the most from a performance standpoint by an angler?
Oh my gosh, they're just so many to count. I can look at the last season and this season, and just Jamie and Brandon, winning 2 tournaments each out of a 9 tournament schedule. It's just phenomenal presence of mind to do something that great anglers can go all their lives and not win one in 30 seasons, and these guys do that. Buddy Gross coming back, just the last tournament at Eufaula, and taking down somebody as tough as Scott Canterbury is the words. It's like Zona and I and Davey just all at the end. So what just happened? What did we just witness here? This is just, it's unbelievable. They're so incredible, these guys, and each one of them, everybody on the Elite Series has got a great story and got the potential to put up a performance like that, and that's what makes you always interested and see how each tournament unfolds minute to minute, all 4 days.
Toughest guy to cover. You've been doing live for a long time. You come into the studio, you look over at Davey or Zona or Ronnie and go, all right, we got this guy for 5 hours. Now, I'm not saying that in a negative term. I mean, you look at some of the greatest sports people, they are notoriously tough interviews, tight-lipped. But who really makes you work for it to get that storyline out? And over the course of your time, would you say is the toughest guy to cover and get storylines?
Boy, thanks, Matt. Then I'm going to make an instant enemy.
No, you're not. I'm not saying it as a negative.
Let me start tell you a story without mentioning a name. Me and Zona were on one of the elite events, and one of the guys who was maybe not going to win it, but it was a final day. But we were, we would go before the days of Bassmaster Live. We'd be out in the boat going and stopping at guys and watching them fish, and we come up upon this angler who I'm not going to name, well known, one of the legends of the sport for sure, and we said, can we shoot you a little while? He says, guys, I'd really rather you didn't. And, what? He says, well, I'm probably not going to win today. He said, we don't care. We want you. Well, that's not the point. I'm going to have to fish this tournament next year, and I don't want you to see what I'm doing. And we thought, oh, okay. Must be something pretty special, pretty, top secret and so forth like that. And it turns out he was throwing a Cinco around some wood. So that was the big, nuclear secret right there. Everybody's got a little bit of that in them. You catch them at a wrong moment and they can be difficult, but everybody I've ever worked with has always come around and always, picked up on it and just said, that was not a good time for me. Now's a good time we can do it. So nobody is irredeemable. I'll put it that way.
Well, he's not saying names, but everybody had the instant feedback is saying, gotta be Tommy. Gotta be Tommy Biffle. Had to be Tommy Biffle.
Tommy Biffle has always been great. Tommy is underrated for his sense of humor.
Oh, I agree.
And everybody likes to imitate him because he has, sometimes no filter, and he'll say, things that seem, to people who are a little bit sensitive to be unfeeling, but I don't think he comes from that place.
All right, let's do this. Let's take a break, and then we're going to come back and get to some of the questions from the instant feedback for the fans. Right here on a Friday, BTL with Tommy Sanders. Everybody stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Let's face it, fishing electronics are no longer an afterthought. They've become a necessity. And at the Bass Tank, our experts match you with the right electronics, provide professional installation, and educate you to help maximize your catching results while providing support along the way. Because let's be honest, it's about catching, not just fishing. And when you're ready for better results, join the Bass Tank team. Visit us today on Facebook or go to thebasstank.com.
Blue Water by TH Marine. Offering LED lighting solutions for your boat, trailer, truck, ATV, and so much more. Engineered and built to be rugged with waterproof and submersible options. Designed for easy installation, Blue Water is available in a variety of colors and styles. All backed by a limited lifetime warranty. Blue Water by TH Marine.
The name SPRO says it all. SPRO stands for Sports Professionals. When you look at the pro staff that SPRO has brought on board over the past 15 years, it's been pretty incredible. I mean, one got it just then. From the development of the rock crawler to the McStick, from the Fat Papa to the Little John series, when you tie a SPRO bait on, you know it's been designed by a professional to get the job done.
As a professional angler, you've got so many things on your mind. Any advantage that we have is key. And not only rods and reels and lines and baits, but in our clothes. And the guys at AFCO, they have something for every situation. There's nothing AFCO hasn't thought about with the fishermen in mind. It's designed for fishermen, by fishermen, for every scenario you can come to. Any fish, any water, any condition, AFCO has you covered.
All of us on the Pro Tournament Trail use Gamakatsu hooks. Why? Because they are absolutely the best.
It's not about how many bites you get.
It's how many you put in the boat.
Gamakatsu makes hooks for every fishing style.
We didn't come this far to lose fish.
Did you?
For more information, visit gamakatsu.com.
The Big Bite Baits Kamikaze Swim On is a very unique bait, and it's got a full body, but with ribs to give it a bigger profile, but not more plastic. It's got a jointed tail that gives it a lot of action, as well as this up and down crawl type trail with holes and ribs in it, so it creates a bubble trail almost. This bait is supposed to be fished upside down or vertical like this on a great for a chatterbait. I prefer it on a swim jig as well, but you can also cut it down and put it on the back of a finesse jig. You know, flip it around for some spotted bass or flipping docks. Anytime you want a small, compact, you know, little trailer for it, this is great for it. So check out the full lineup of swim-ons at bigbitebaits.com.
All right, we are back with Tommy Sanders, ready to take some questions from the fans. And Tommy, you ready?
Yeah.
All right, first one from the instant feedback from Ben. He wants to know if you had to sell bass fishing to somebody and you could only show one show of the Elite Series, what would you show them?
One show, I'd probably show them the most recent one from Lake Eufaula. You know, that had all the elements. I mean, it had the odds-on favorite, the big-time guy, the rookie in name only, but a rookie anyway, who comes up to nip him at the last minute, and just all sorts of pyrotechnics along the way, and a fishery that performs like the fisheries we dream about. Usually they fade over 4 days. This place got even better on the last day. I'd show him the Eufaula tournament.
All right, there you have it. One of the cool features that we have with this new software, Tommy, is I can queue up some of the questions that's on YouTube, and you can actually see them. So
okay. Yeah.
Tommy, what is your most favorite classic moment you have covered?
My most favorite classic moment I have covered. Oh, gosh. The first three are not my favorites because I was so inept at it. You know, they sort of pushed me out there to do the weigh-in. But my favorite classic moment I have covered, I guess, you know, I say this a lot. It was probably that final day at Pittsburgh, just because it was so tough, and you know, we have Slugfest, but this was a different animal, and guys were really getting tweaked out. All the big players in that one were just, you know, they were living and dying with fish that were that big, and there was just so much drama in it, and you realize that, you know, yes, we love big fish, and we want that 90% of the time, but really, when you can get inside the heads of the competitors and really hear them fighting, every voice that's going on telling them to do this and do that and worrying about what everyone else is doing, that was the kind of drama that I like.
Yeah, the crowd was insane at Pittsburgh too.
Oh, it was just absolutely nuts. It was one of the best places we've ever been, without a doubt.
Let's see here. Our good friend John Bird III asked Tommy who he would consider the GOAT of bass fishing.
The GOAT of bass fishing. Well, you know, there's three names that you know, and everybody's got. Well, you know, you look at Brower and Van Dam and of course Rick Clunn and Larry Nixon and you know, the statistics. You know, the record doesn't lie. It's going to be Van Dam with the greatest record of all time. Rick Clunn, you know, also with 4 classics. So you got to rank those two guys, and Brower and Nixon, all the tournaments they won. And I've had a chance to visit with both of those guys on sort of rewind programs on the Bassmaster site during all the shutdown and everything. And gosh, a greatest of all time. You know, the statistics tell us it's Kevin Van Dam.
What's your relationship like with Rick? You've gotten to cover 2 really special wins that we didn't know would ever happen, but I mean, he can also be a tough nut to crack when it comes to opening up and talking with the media.
Oh yeah, he can be, and he's going to do it on his terms, and he doesn't, you know, put up with a lot of foolishness or anything like that. But my first exposure to Rick was at an FLW tournament back when in FLW days on Ross Barnett. He sort of had been, you know, he had done all the work that made him, you know, on the Mount Rushmore of bass fishing, and then he sort of got back into it with the FLW, and he came up and just won that tournament and won it. Made it look easy, and I'd never had a chance to talk to him before that. He was just a fascinating guy. He just he would tell you, you know, things that had never occurred to you. He didn't really try to give you the normal, you know, all shucks routine that weren't nothing. But he would break into it. He would talk about his shortcomings also, as much as he talked about the things that really pleased him. In fact, more he talks about his shortcomings, but he talks about also the potential to overcome those things. So Rick is can go for a while without saying something. But he's one of those guys you can watch, like the first one he won down on the St. John's in recent years. You can imagine the wheels turning, and when he says something, it means something. So he can get by with a few words. He's one of those rare individuals.
All right, next question. Do you miss having live on location versus in a studio?
Oh yeah, I did definitely miss being out there, and I miss seeing the guy. All our anglers, and you pick up so much wonderful stuff, and of course, you can't call them all because Davey's calling them the day after to the top 10 to get everything that's going on, to get their story. Zona's doing it when it's Zona in here, and but at a tournament, I can at weigh-in I can go and talk to anyone, and I get to do that at the Classic, and it's a wonderful thing. But yes, I definitely miss it. I don't miss waking up in a motel room every morning at a tournament. But yeah, there's something missing, but I think the trade-off is well worth it, being able to do live the way we do it, and have it as put together a production as we're able to put up. Yeah.
Next one is a long one. Can you read that, Tommy?
Oh gosh, I didn't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tommy, were you and ESPN the ones who got the KVD nickname started? And what were your thoughts the first time you witnessed this new guy, Mike Iaconelli, going Ike on live TV? I don't think we were the ones that started the KVD thing. I don't believe. I don't. But maybe it was. But I don't remember that. Iaconelli, the first time I saw him going live was probably fishing a trap on Rayburn at a tournament way back in the day. I can't remember what tournament, if it was a tour event or if it was it's probably a tour event on Rayburn. And just watching that crazy frenetic way he would fish the rattle trap in that grass and everything, catching one, and most of the guys try to act like this is nothing to me. I catch them all the time, and Iaconelli just exploded, and we're all just going, play that again, roll that tape back and play that again, and we just had to watch it several times. It was something different, something great.
All right, next question. Who of the newer guys in the Bass Elites, who has really impressed you and you're keeping an eye on them?
Oh gosh, there's so many of them. One of them was just in your commercial there, Drew Cook. I think is a tremendous talent. He's a very, very different person, and sort of delivers what he's going through in his mind in a different way from everyone else. But boy, he has proven he got the goods. He was a Rookie of the Year last year. Certainly Drew Cook and Paul Mueller. I'm just going back on our winners. It's Paul Mueller. We call him One Question Mueller, because rather than us have to think up the questions, all we have to say is, Paul, answer this question, and he will keep talking literally for 45 minutes. So it's we call him One Question Mueller. So I really like it. I really like Paul Mueller. Gosh, it's so many guys who are just coming on who have potential. The Caleb Sumralls,
Walters, Cobb, all those guys have been awesome.
Cobb, yeah, Shryock, I think is getting there. Hunter Shryock, he's exciting to watch. It's you look at the Elite Series angler list from A to Z. You start with Matt Airy, and Z is Chris Zaldane. That's pretty impressive. When you think about the quality of those two guys, what they give you as a fan on the water, and everybody in between is either got that potential or they're pretty much there already. So it's
ask of the
it's a great thing. Yeah.
Ask of the
All right, this is a personal question. You don't have to. All right, let me cue it up here. Is your voice insured?
No, it's not insured. I don't know. I don't think you can get voice insurance unless you're a Metropolitan Opera star or something like that.
Seriously? Well, isn't J-Lo's butt insured?
Oh,
well,
I'm just saying.
How many times have I asked myself that question?
It's your livelihood.
I don't know, Matt. Maybe I should look into it. Maybe I could get just some cheap term insurance on my voice.
Do you have a routine? Like all the guys have a routine. You do this. So what's your routine to get ready for Bassmaster Live, or when you're doing any announcing?
Well, first I try to, stop blowing my nose and coughing from allergies and stuff like that. And yeah, it's just an old theater routine. You start with a hum that starts deep in your chest, like that, and you make it come up to your nose. Anybody can do it. You guys can do it. In fact, I'd love to see you both do it right now. You start with a hum deep in your chest. It's like,
wait, so you're breathing in?
You can feel your voice going from here to the top of your nose, and that sort of gets all the. It's like cranking an old 1954 automobile, which is what I am.
Breathing in through the chest or like through your stomach?
No, just humming, and make the hum like that start in your chest and feel, and you can feel it. You can take it up to your nose. That's it. Matt Pangrick, quick study. I've always said that.
Yeah. Next thing you know, he'll be signing up for
We're
drama
back
class.
covering the classic. Edwin Evers has asked us to back off another 75 yards.
See, it sounded better already.
There you go.
That's awesome.
Oh my God.
It did. It had a richness, a deep voice to it.
Yeah. Let's see here.
Now let's go over to Dave Mercer, who's eating a ham and mayfly sandwich.
Bryce wants to know, do you think Buddy will win Rookie of the Year?
Gosh, I think so. I think so if the season plays out like it's planned. If we get to do Chickamauga is one way.
Speaking of that, can you give us any insight on the whole New York situation? What do you know? What can you say?
Man, I don't know. You and I talked about it just when we were getting set up and trying to get the system working here, and that's kind of a bombshell thing that those three governors dropped on us yesterday. Anybody coming into the state from any of these selected states that they've targeted has to quarantine for 14 days. What about truck drivers? I mean, who's going to bring? I mean, they don't grow wheat in New York. Who's going to bring in the flour from Minnesota and all these places so the bakeries can make bread so people can eat and things like that? You mentioned, you made a great point. UPS, then they're not getting the big UPS trucks, the semis bringing in for the local deliveries. And I don't understand how it works. I understand the concern. I mean, they've had a horrible time there in that what they call a tri-state area, which is New York City and then Newark across the way and Massachusetts. Is it? Yeah, it's Massachusetts. That's where the vast majority of the deaths in the United States took place because the populations are so dense there. But you consider the places we're going, the Finger Lakes and Waddington and over to Champlain. That's more like going to the Bull Shoals of New York or the gosh, I don't know, the Durant, Oklahomas of New York State. And it's so different. I hope everyone can consider that. In the end of the day, we have to obey what the health authorities decree. But I haven't heard anything about it. I'm sure plans are. There's always been a plan at Bass since this whole COVID-19 thing started. So if we can't do it here, if we're not able to open up and do a tournament here, then we'll go here. If not, then the next place we have a contingency plan for as well. There's one in place at the Bassmasters, but until we know, what the nature of the ruling is and how it's applicable to what we're doing, which I'm not aware of now, but I'm sure there's plenty of minds on it in Birmingham right now. I can't say.
Tommy's the talent, Mark. Tommy's the talent. He just gets dropped off and does what they tell him to do. He doesn't have to fret with the behind the scenes stuff.
Hey,
that's right. I'm in a closet and they open it up when they need somebody to come out and say it's like the Stig on the what's the driving show, they bring out the guy in the helmet and he comes and drives like that.
Yeah. Hey, before the drone, did you ever go up in the helicopter?
Yeah, I did. Loved it. I absolutely loved it. First time I ever did it was at the All-American in Pine Bluff. I'd never been up in a helicopter in my life, and they're in the Pine Bluff Harbor. They got all the boats lined up. The boats, we get these amazing shots of them going out of the harbor and into the Arkansas River. And then we sort of fly around and fly back to the airport. And the first thing I see when I look down is as we get over a neighborhood is a swimming pool, absolutely full of Budweiser beer cans. Right now you get to see another side of life. That's what I like about the helicopter. Yeah, the helicopter was great.
Was Jerry the first one to use the helicopter?
I think so. I mean, and we'd have them. You remember, we'd have them at the tournament, and the helicopter drones are fantastic, but a helicopter is about the only rig that can go 70 miles an hour alongside a bass boat, for any length of time. Yeah. So, it made for some incredible shots. And that really punched up the show.
That's that photo. You were in the chopper right there, the bass chopper for that photo right there. So I got one. So you, like I said, you've done FLW, you've done tours, you've done live where you don't show any fish, you've done live where you actually show fish.
Yeah.
What's the worst idea that has come across there? Because I know there's been some, some crazy segments and stuff, cool stuff, putting trackers on fish. Also, I mean, crazy stuff. Has there been one that was just crazy? Any ideas like we're going to do this? And when it got down to it, it was like, there's no way we could do this.
No, that's not going to work.
The first time we did, and I can't even remember what we called it, and it was an experiment. There'd been a lot of experiments through the years. I mean, the Bassmasters started as an experiment, and this classic started as an experiment. All experiments that worked out great. But yeah, there've been tournament formats and things like that. I always love the whole format. I hope we get a chance to revisit that someday. But and now I forget what we called it now, where there's a chance to where 8 anglers could qualify for one more spot in the classic, and it just
the golden
never really
ticket tournament.
The golden ticket tournament.
That's what it was. Morgan Thaler won it one year.
Yeah. And it's just to me, when we did it with the Elite Series a few years back, it had a great tournament. I think on the Niagara River, but somehow the results just never really were that. What was at stake was not compelling enough.
Oh, that was the one where Jacob Porosnik was behind Kobe Krieger trying to coach him on how to catch a fish off a pillar. Yeah. That was an awkward moment. That was
a little awkward. I mean, and no doubt about it. I mean, my friend Mark Zona will say it. Both of us we love awkward. I mean, that's our stock in trade. But that was just a little. We worried about the average viewer being a little bit maybe put off or not really understanding.
I remember that one. Porosnik was just giving it to him. Come on, dude, I could catch him on every drop with the drop shot here. Krieger was breaking him off. You guys didn't know what to say. He was needing a couple more fish because he was in the bracket. He was like up. Yeah, that was crazy.
Oh, that was nuts. It was just the craziest thing. And those two guys were perfect for that role. They were
they were roommates.
Yeah, they were roommates and they
yeah.
talked alike. Yeah.
All right. What's your best J.O. story?
James Overstreet.
James Overstreet's story. Golly. J.O.'s such a complex dude and so talented and so great. I just, it's not so much his story, it's his voice.
Yeah.
It's his accent. It's an accent that's very particular to a very specific corner of this county that we live in called Pulaski County in Arkansas. And man, I just, come on, fool. Come on, fool. Don't tell me that, man. I ain't buying that bull crap. It's just, I just love it. Bowman comes from the same area and he's been able to, but not totally, lose that accent. But J.O. owns it, and that's one of the many things we love about James Overstreet.
Now, have you ever done Zona Live?
Zona Live? No, I've not done Zona Live.
Have you ever got an invite?
No, for the Zona's Awesome Fishing Show or Zona's Live?
Oh, Zona's Awesome Fishing Show.
Yes, I have been on Zona's Awesome Fishing Show. We did sturgeon fishing on the Columbia River. Caught a 9-foot, 400-pound sturgeon, and I don't know. He put me on the 2 monster shows. We did the alligator gar show on the Trinity River as well. Which was just absolutely hilarious, and something. I thought I was going to get my throat slashed by one of them because they made me hold this gar that was 8 feet long like this, and he talked about the guy from France who came over. He had to stop from bleeding to death after the gar reached back and slashed him across the throat like that. And that's all I could think about.
Have you ever fished a tournament? Like a Tuesday nighter, a Saturday jackpot, a team tournament?
Oh man, I used to co-angle when we did the FLW back in the day. Did a few co-angler things, especially up on St. Clair because that's such a treat, just really, really enjoyed it.
Hold on, I'm pulling up your stats. Oh my gosh, you have a profile.
Yeah.
On FLW.
Yeah, look at co-angler in
from Little Rock, Arkansas. You have career earnings. Okay, you want to guess what your career earnings are, Tom?
Oh, I know what they are. They're zero.
No, they're not.
What?
You have $150 in career earnings.
Nice.
I think that's a misprint. I think I still owe them $150.
Wait, that was on the walleye tour.
Oh yeah, I fished walleye. I co-angled. I had a great time on the walleye tour with Green Bay, Fox River. It was so nasty, the weather, that only like 3 boats were able to get out into the Bay of Green Bay there. The rest of us fished in the Fox River, and it was, it was literally, you could walk from boat to boat. And I actually caught my limit. I caught 2 walleye.
You cashed a check in the 2000 FLW Walleye Tour.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. Career best was an 85th on St. Clair in June of 2001.
Co-angler. Yeah.
Yeah, you had a solid day on the first day, 4 fish for 913. You remember you fished with in any of those?
Gosh, yeah. I fished with Kim Carver. Is it Kim Carver?
Yes.
Yeah,
that is correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
And and he hasn't fished for a long time. He was a fella, kind of a stocky fella. He looked like the guy on the with the hat on Super Mario Brothers from Pennsylvania. Really nice guy. And I can't remember his name now. But we had a big time.
Did you have him on day 2? You only caught 1 for 111.
No, I had him on day 1.
Oh, day 1. Yeah, he put you on him.
Yeah.
How about on the Mississippi River?
Oh, that was a fun one. John Carter. You remember a guy named John Carter from Atlanta?
No.
I think he sort of was like a Crown Royal product representative, but he also bass fished. And we were going on the Mississippi River, going out of Memphis, and he wanted to go all the way down to Lake DeSoto. John was not one of the top players in the FLW at that time. But I showed up at the boat at the takeoff, and there's no gas in between there. He had 400 pounds of gas stuffed in every available place on that boat. He was wearing a crash helmet, and I thought, wow, why is he wearing a crash helmet? What's going to happen here? And I get in the boat, and he says, "Tommy, are you about ready to do it?" And I said, "Man, I guess so." And then he lights up a cigarette. We're sitting on 400 pounds of gas.
Gosh.
I'm sure he doesn't smoke now, and I'm sure he doesn't appreciate me mentioning that. And it was one of those days when the current was massive going downstream. The wind was blowing the exact opposite, standing up those waves. And it was just hopping one wave to another. We finally got down. Took us forever to get down to DeSoto. I think he caught 1 fish. I zeroed. We started back, and we'd go by the big buoy markers in the middle of the Mississippi River, and each one of them would have 5 broken down bass boats tied to it. Guys who had just given up, hitched a ride with someone else. It finally happened to us within about 20 miles of Memphis, and we grabbed our pathetic fish, that had the stripes beaten off of them from that ride, and got in with someone else. And it was a little Astro boat, I think, and there were 4 other guys already in it. This was just a life-saving mission. I leaned back and I broke the windshield off. I was smashed. I was just kind of squeezed in a bunch of other guys. That was a memorable tournament. Yeah.
Steve Bowman fished that one too. I'm looking at the standings right now.
Oh man, Bowman was a big time co-angler in the FLW back in the day.
All right. Any more good
He could actually catch him, except for the time that I think he was with I don't remember who it was, and it was a sight fishing tournament on Beaver, and this fella pulled up on one spot and worked on one fish for about 5 hours, and Bowman's sitting there in the back of the boat with absolutely nothing to do. He was not happy then. Wow. That's rare, but one of the hazards of co-angling.
That was when they did so Gary Klein won that. Rick Clunn was in second. Ken Cook was in third. And Davey
You're talking back to the Mississippi River?
Yeah, Davey Height finished 4th in that tournament.
Yeah.
Huh.
Who'd have known all those years later? That's cool.
That is some cool stuff.
So I mean, you know what it's like. You've done the long runs. You've been a part of that stuff.
Yeah. I almost spent the night on the Mississippi River. I'll put it that way.
Jeez.
I remember it fondly though, because it was such an adventure.
All right, Tommy. Man, we've taken a lot of your time, but I'm curious. One of the things that I remember when I was out on tour and with you guys is it was a very common fact that you guys enjoyed dinner. You guys were all about dinner. You loved dinner.
Oh,
you
yeah.
You love going to places to eat. What was the best restaurant that you and Zona and Mike and everybody else that would go out to eat? What is one restaurant and one memory that was totally away from bass fishing with your group that you hung out with?
And you've been there too. Both of you guys have been there, and it's not like a super fancy restaurant, but there's one in Guntersville and there's one in Montgomery, and it's Wenzel's. Just a place we just live to go to. Because after a day of work, like you say, we love going out to eat because you're away from home so many days a year. The going out to eat is your little comfort thing, your little friend that makes it all a little bit easier to handle at the end of the day, no matter what kind of day you've had. But Wenzel's was always just our favorite destination, and you know, we miss that. We miss going to all the regular places. I don't miss the Stump so much down at Rayburn. You know?
Oh, that place is awesome. That place is legendary. You got to get their salad after it's been out for about 5 hours on the bar there.
You think nowadays they're allowed to do a salad bar? They probably are.
I mean, you literally feel like Harold Allen when you eat at the Stump. You walk over from the Rayburn country, the Rayburn Inn right there.
Right.
You know, you just lucky you just ran the Black Forest, not realizing what you did on pad. You're just glad that you got somewhere you could get a cold beer and some salad and a meal. You get the flank steak for $11.99. There's jerseys all over the wall.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah. It's part of the scene. It's part of the world of bass fishing, no doubt about it. It's just, you know.
Yeah.
It's,
I would be remiss at this point. About every year, I bring up the fact that Jeffrey's only option in Gunnersville is Wenzel's, since he is banned from Top of the River for life over a baked potato incident in the mid-2000s.
Flesh this out now. I want to hear this.
No, wait, listen. Tommy's telling his stories from way back in the day. I've talked about this. I don't think you've ever actually told. Do you have time for the baked potato story, Tommy?
Do I ever?
I don't think you've ever actually set it up and told why you are not welcome at Top of the River in Gunnersville, Alabama for life.
This is the Cliff Note version.
No, we want the whole.
No. This is the shortened version. This was back. Tommy, when you're on the road, a lot of times you don't eat well. I mean, you just don't.
Exactly.
All right, so I was on a kick where I really, really was trying to watch what I was eating and eat healthy, no matter where we went. So Harold and I went to the restaurant at
Top of the River.
And I got shrimp, is what I got. And it came with a baked potato. And I asked the guy, or the waitress, I said, can I substitute the salad for a baked potato? No, you can't do that. Well, yes, you can, but it's going to be another $5.95. And I go, whoa, wait a minute. Time out here. You're telling me that you can't take the baked potato and just slide it off to the side and substitute that for a salad? No, we can't do that. All right, let me talk to somebody. I was in one, you know, just one of those moods.
Your own doing.
Yeah.
All right, so the manager.
Have you ever seen a movie called 5 Easy Pieces with Jack Nicholson? There's a scene exactly like that, only it's about toast coming with breakfast, and I bet some of the dialogue is identical.
Oh, it probably is. So the guy running the place,
the manager,
who is friends with all these anglers, he's real good friends with Kevin and so many of the other anglers. He didn't know me from a hill of beans.
But you're sitting with Harold.
I'm sitting with Harold.
What's Harold saying? Just stroking the mustache?
No, he's just pounding away, not saying anything.
Not his business, not his fight.
Nope, Marcus, that's your deal right there. You
fight,
go ahead.
Mark.
And I said, sir, will you please explain to me how I have to pay $5.95 for a salad when I am actually not getting some of your food? All right. And he gave me this, why am I talking to this guy look?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, look. It's not that big a deal. You take the potato off, you give me a salad with just a little bit of ranch on it, no croutons.
Everyone's looking at you guys by now.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Because you've escalated.
Oh, I'm at DEFCON 1. Okay.
You've escalated.
I am furious.
Shocking, right, Tommy? Mark escalating a situation.
Never heard of such a thing.
All right, continue.
I had a bad day on the water. I had a bad day trying to edit the video that I was doing. It was just a bad day. All I wanted was my nice little salad. I did not want the baked potato. And I tried to explain this to this gentleman, and he wasn't taking any. He was like, look, sir, if you want a salad, pay $5.95. If you don't want the salad, then don't pay $5.95. And I turned to Harold, and I said, that's it. We're out of here. Okay. And we left.
Were you banned? I mean, that's.
Oh yeah. I said a few other things as I.
Yeah, he left that part out. See, he tells the entire story up until the getting banned part, and then it becomes the Cliff Notes version.
I was not happy. I didn't understand. Like I said, I was in a bad mood to begin with. I'm like, dude, why are you making me pay $6 for a salad when you're keeping your potato?
So this was like 06 or 07, and I didn't start going to the tournaments until 08. So like 08, 09, we go to what did Skeeter Aaron won in 09 or whatever, and everybody went to Top of the River, and I could not understand why Jeffries would be like, nah, well, I'll just get a burger or something like that. I'm like, well, everybody's going to Top of the River. Well, he didn't want to tell it, and it got to the point where he eventually was like, look, man, I can't go to Top of the River. We have to go to other places.
So that's why all those years at Gunnersville, you would see the Bass Zone coverage coming from Winsel's.
Which was
all making
awesome.
sense now. Yeah.
Okay. So
that's such a great story. That is. That reinforces my faith in humanity.
Yeah, I was a little upset because I had to pay $5.95 for a salad. Anyway, so that's the story. Tommy, all right, man. I can't thank you enough for taking time out. Your schedule's tight, I know that, but dude, you're the best in the business. The stuff that you guys do with Bassmaster Live is amazing, and I appreciate your friendship and guidance over the years. And you're welcome on BTL anytime, man.
Well, thank you. Right back at you guys. I admire you guys. You never phone it in. You're always bulldogs. You're always giving us more. And I can't say anything better about somebody who does what you guys do. It's a great show, and I'm honored to be on it.
All right, man. One last question, then I'm gonna let you go. Somebody who could not watch the show asked this question. They sent me an email. They wanted to know if there was an actor out there or a person. Who would this person be to play Mark Zona in his biography?
Gosh, Mark Zona. Who would play Mark Zona? Bobby Cannavale. You know who Bobby Cannavale is?
I will in about 30 seconds.
You should look him up. You'd know him from. He would be perfect. He's got that look. He's really sort of charismatic, very present, and
that looks like Zona.
Really?
He even looks like him. He does.
Oh,
He
yeah.
looks like Zona. Yeah.
No, I was going to say Vince Vaughn, but
Vince Vaughn, but this guy looks like Vince Vaughn too.
This guy looks this guy looks like Mark Zona with more hair product.
Yeah, that's right. Even more
less
hair
chest hair.
Very nice. Very nice. All right,
Good
Tommy.
call.
Hey, man. Hopefully we will see fishing in New York or some other place here shortly. And great job, and please be safe, and best of luck to you for the remainder of the season, man.
Thank you so much, Matt, Mark. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. See you, Tommy. Take care, man.
You bet.
All right. There you have it. Tommy Sanders. Wow. Good nuggets there, Matthew.
Oh, that was a good interview. He went deep. I didn't realize.
Yeah. That's really, really, really good stuff.
I don't think people understand how hard it is to be good at commentating bass fishing on the regular basis like that. It's easy to come in and be the expert, so to speak, or the explaining guy, because you always have stuff to talk about, right? But to drive a show for 5, 6, 7 hours a day, and you have to remember, this guy went to school for this, right, Mark? He's trained in this. This is his occupation.
Yeah.
Everyone he's working with is not. Think about that.
That's a good point. Good point.
It's like going to work somewhere and you're the only one with a degree in it, and then they bring in everyone else around you who has potential, but you have to kind of guide them and learn their strengths and work and manage the whole 3-ring circus.
Yeah.
It's not like you show up and everybody knows this is how it's done. This is what it is. I'm trained in all this.
Yeah.
I don't think Zona went to school. I know Davey Hyde didn't go to school for it.
No, you're dead on.
Yeah, and it's like that, on the other side, on the BPT side, with what Chad does. Keep it JT Kenny and Marty Stone, and it's like it on the FLW side with what Travis Moran does.
Yeah.
With Hollowell and me last year in one, and David Dudley and all that. I mean, there's a very small group of guys who are able to corral bass fishermen and talk about bass fishermen for 30 hours a week.
No,
live.
You're right.
And keep it smooth. That Barbie Cannavale thing, you know who he's talking about?
I don't know who that is.
It looks, like I said, it looks like Mark Zona.
What has he been in? Is he a comedian?
He's an American actor. known for his recurring roles in Third Watch, Boardwalk Empire, Vinyl, Will and Grace, Mr. Robot, and Master of None.
Huh.
He won a Primetime Emmy in 2005.
I'll have to look that up.
Yeah.
Interesting. Huh. All right.
Unfortunately, Zona played himself in Bait Shop.
Yeah, we didn't get into the
Yeah,
whole- we've done that.
Tommy's too dignified to go down that road.
All right, folks, that's going to wrap up another week of BTL. Next week, make sure you check out the schedule. Sunday night on BassZone.com. Working on some stuff for next week. Hopefully, we'll have the winner on from the event taking place.
Also did some voiceover for SpongeBob.
Oh, did he really?
He sounded more and more like Zona.
What, Mr. Krabs?
I don't know. It
Huh.
just says it.
There's some of the other characters in that.
Episode show. He's the voice of Tony in SpongeBob SquarePants in 2019.
Huh. Interesting. All right.
Good
What do
show
you
today,
got?
Mark.
Yeah, what do you got going on this weekend, man? You fishing? It's a little hot
yeah,
out.
I had just maintenance on the boat after the Arkansas River. I'm gonna
Yeah.
go pick the boat up today afterwards from S&D. Scott, I show up to the place, man. The guy's selling bass cats.
Yeah.
He's got like one. I said, "Where'd all the boats go?" He's like, "We sold them." So that was good. Great dude over there, Scott Dennis over there at S&D Boats. So
Yeah.
going to pick that up. And then working on the Arkansas River video. It's kind of cool. I fished that open. Scott Martin's got his video. Brian Latimer's got his video out. Brad, I know, is working on it. But it's cool when you're in the video and doing your own and you know what it was like. And then you can go watch other people's and really relate to it.
Yeah.
Like I watched Latimer's this morning before I left, actually. And I'm like, no, I totally relate, dude. He's like, I got 2.5 hours to fish. Here we go. I'm like, I feel you, Brian Latimer. I feel you. So good stuff. So that's what I'm doing this week.
All right, striper fishing for me on Monday with the boys.
That's a sure thing, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Sure thing. Like you just don't show up and live bait fish striper on Texoma and not catch him, dude.
Yeah, we'll be done in 90 minutes probably. But you got to be on the water at 5:30 a.m.
Will he keep you out there or will you be done at 7 and off?
No, if we want to stay out there, dude, it's going to be 1,000 degrees.
You ever catch any bass doing that?
Yeah, I talked about it.
Smallmouth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy stuff. All right, I want to thank the people that have sent in emails for stuff that they're wanting to sell. I need those to continue to come in for the BTL market. If you have a large ticket item or a number of items that surpass at least $1,000, shoot me an email, mark@basszone.com, and I will be in touch shortly. That's it. That's going to wrap things up this week. Thank you, Tommy Sanders. That is it. We're out of here.